Alrighty, welcome to Supernatural Signals, my haunted journal edition. If you're new here, this is where I discuss what's on my mind, mostly on supernatural topics. If I've experienced any paranormal activity or anything supernatural in general, and then just any supernatural topics that might be on my mind. And then sometimes I talk about stuff that's in the news, like true crime or other major stories, or just updates about my life. So it's just kind of like a hodgepodge of things I want to discuss. First things first, I hope everyone had a really good holiday. I know we still have the New Year's approaching. But I hope everyone, whatever you celebrated this year or got to do this year, or hope if you had a low key day at home, I hope it was good and relaxing and peaceful. Kermie and I just kind of did what we did for Thanksgiving. We were low key at home, and yeah, it was very nice. It was nice. We watched movies, we ate dinner, played with the doggy. He's sitting right next to me, so if you hear him, I have to take him on a walk. Not really feeling up today to do it, but I'm going to do it because he needs to get his little walkie in. So going to do that later today, but I thought before I do that, I'm going to film this video. Um, but yeah, other than that, I really hope everyone had a really good holiday, peaceful, and enjoyed it. And if maybe you didn't get to, hopefully this weekend you got to unwind a little bit because I know some people are in charge of Christmas and stuff like that. So that's also good to take some time for you and unwind after all the festivities that went on. So with the new year approaching, I kind of wanted to make two videos. And this is not the whole what this whole video is going to be about, but two videos. One that's kind of like recapping my 2025 as what I sorry, my dog is like really into me right now. But what I really want to focus on in this video is kind of I guess, more my everyday milestones that I hit, or the good things that happened, and then going into 2026. I don't want to say resolutions, but just things that I'm like eyeing to do. Um, so that's what I'm gonna do in this video. And then next, probably like Wednesday or something like that, I'll post a video about just a recap of all my supernatural activity that occurred this year. Um, just a big summary of that. So that's my plan. And then I also have other stuff I want to talk about in this video. So I guess with this year, the one thing that always comes to mind that I gave up this year was TikTok. 2024 was a very weird year for me. And I was on TikTok a lot, like a lot. And it's not an app that I feel like is healthy for me for many reasons. I feel like also it kind of changed in 2024 a little bit. I don't know if anyone else noticed it. I feel like the vibes are different. Like it feels like an commercial half the time. It went from like following regular life to like buy these sweaters right now. And then my boyfriend Kermie made a good point, and like because I would complain about it, and he's like, "Well, why are you watching it?" And I'm like, true. Like, you know what I mean? But the algorithm is addicting, right? The algorithm is addicting. That's why it's so successful, right? You scroll and there's something else that you're interested in. And then people do the part one, the part two. So then you go back to the channels to see what the part two is. You could be like, see part two if I get my McDonald's order right. Like it's just, and it's you'll survive without knowing if they got the McDonald's order right. But it's just the way the algorithm is, it becomes really addicting. And so last January, it was like mid-January, I gave it up, and I haven't downloaded it or been on the app since then. Sorry, my dog buddy. Thanks. So that I am very happy for. I still obviously have Instagram and scroll through there and see some reels and short form content and things like that. Like I'm not against that type of content at all. I just the type of content that I was seeing on TikTok was not what I originally liked TikTok for. So if it wasn't making you happy, I gave it up. So that's that. Other big events that happened, I did get a new job, which I'm grateful for. And then because everyone knows how the job hunting world is right now. And then of course, one of my greatest things that I got this year is Buddy, who's chilling right next to me if you can't hear him. Um, and he found us, I guess, in August. So that has been a very, very good addition to our little family. So, um, and he's just looking at me and he's the bestest boy in the world. Um, and yeah, so as far as other goals, I meant some other goals, but they're kind of more, I guess, spiritual journey stuff. But I think, giving up TikTok was like the biggest thing. Also, me and Kermie, we kind of had a chaotic 2023, 2024. I know I keep saying those 2 years, but that's just the truth. And 2025, I think our relationship is even better than before. Like we're finding a really good rhythm with each other, and I don't know, it's just been a little bit more, Kermie has made it like, I don't know, we've just been working on our relationship a lot. And like I said, it wasn't us that was the problem of the relationship, it was our situation. And I don't know, it's one of those things where it's anyone would have issues with the stuff that we were going through. If not, you're not human, and you know what I mean? Like there's, outside sources, and if you're not passionate about certain things in life, then you're never going to have any issues. And both Kermie and I are very passionate people. Let's put it that way. um, but this year, I don't know, we've been kind of having a good balance of things, and I hope in 2026 we can continue the momentum. But yeah, we've been doing more day dates and hanging out more, and I don't know, just doing stuff for us, which is very, very important in a relationship. I believe anyone can agree on that. So that's been going good. And sorry if I sound a little like not as hyper today. I'm just sleepy. I don't know why. I slept good last night. I just am sleepy. So keep in mind that's it. That's why I'm kind of meh. But other than that, of course, the other big thing that happened to me in 2023 is I started this, um, I guess, channel. And that's been great. I've been really enjoying seeing how it's growing, seeing how my content has been shifting and finding my balance there. And yeah, I really am enjoying the channel and watching it grow and progress, and just figuring out all the nuances, with everything as far as like YouTube, how to do certain things on YouTube guidelines, and then also figuring out things that work with the channel and the images and what type of content I want, and all those things. And I feel like I have a good balance of what my videos are. Um Obviously I have three types of videos now. I do short form content. Now I call them mini mysteries. Those are videos where I just don't feel like I can go too much into theories and there's not a lot of details on the case. So I just, create little mini mysteries. And then I also have my investigative videos, which I go a little bit more, and I go in more theory driven basis towards the end of those videos. So those are my longer form content, and I use these characters, the baby bear and the raccoon, and those are our nicknames. Me and Kermie, that I know Kermie's nickname is Kermie, but I also call him the raccoon, and he calls me Baby Bear as a nickname. I know it's corny, but whatever. We corny sometimes. And so I created those two little characters that go on their little investigation. And so I'm really enjoying those videos. And then I also have these videos where I just blab about what I feel like a blab. So whatever you join the channel for, I really appreciate it. And yeah, just know that whatever videos you like, those type of videos are still coming. So those are my main three that I like to work on. Other than that, let's get into, I guess, some 2026 goals. Now, when I say 2026 goals, I kind of like hesitate because you never know what the universe is going to throw at you. It's like so hard, to think. But what I feel like the universe is pulling me to work on, that's how I'm going to phrase it. I'm not going to say, I want this. I'm going to not eat carbs and I'm not going to do, I'm going to say, this is what I feel like the universe is pulling me for. So we'll look back on this video in 2027 and see if those have been accomplished. But for 2026, I think it's going to be more of a growth as far as stuff that I like to do again, getting back into my old self as well as combining my new self, after everything that kind of happened after my quote unquote spiritual awakening, if you want to call it that. Um, um, and kind of combining those two, right? And I feel like this year I kind of thought that was going to be this year, and it was to that some point. But I feel like instead of being like, okay, trying to find the balance, now growing with that balance is what I'm aiming for, right? And just being able to do that while juggling human life and your supernatural life and everything in between, right? And it's a lot harder than people probably suspect, I guess. um, so that's kind of overall what I want to strive for. Obviously, keep growing the channel. I really am going to put more and more into the channel this year. I feel like I put a lot into the channel this year, but this year I'm really going to try and get some good content, um, and just keep working on it, right? And then, um, other than that, I think, one of the big goals is me and Kermie really do want to get a new place. It's kind of confusing why we're here right now, but in our current place, which I'll explain that later on. But I think we're really wanting to find. It's more about space, right? We just want to kind of have more space, basically. So that's kind of a goal. So we'll see if that happens. But yeah, other than that, I think also I want to have some fun goals in the sense of like not saying I'm going to go on a trip to Paris or I'm going to travel these 20 states or anything like that, but I think just like finding like little things that bring me joy and then like building on that. But the one thing I really got into is gaming. And obviously I mean I guess and technically I would call myself a gamer, but a new gamer and a new thing, it's a new hobby. Let's put it that way. It's a new hobby. Um and I've been really into it. And so my goal, just for a fun goal, is to actually, and I know this sounds stupid to people that probably play games a lot, is to beat King's Hollow, or not beat, but complete King's Hollow. And I know you're like, well, that's going to take you a year. Yes, maybe it will. Because that game, I researched it a lot, just like people game through gaming and all this stuff. And it's a lot, right? It's a lot. And I like to play other video games in between there. So it's not the only game I play. So, and I am still learning how to properly pogo jump. It was really cute because my boyfriend and I were practicing yesterday. Like, well, I was doing it and he was just reading his book, watching me like an idiot, but like, and cheering me on. But like, there in the game, you have to do this like little skill where you bounce off things. And it's for me, like I said, I haven't picked up an Xbox controller in years. And so for me, it's like difficult. So I'm kind of like building off that. But yeah, so that's been fun. And I also want to just play more video games. And I know it's like, okay, like you're an adult, but it's fun. It's good to get into your inner child and you learn things about in games, right? The one thing I learned about Supernatural is that the universe has been giving us clues about how the supernatural world works for years, and it's usually about stuff that we gravitate toward that gives us comfort and happiness because they want us to go that in those areas, right? And so I even just playing video games, which I'll get into later, I've already connected it with supernatural ideas and thoughts. um and yeah, so I just so just don't underestimate things that seem silly and things that, people that like to bake, people that like to, crochet, people that like to play Legos. There's always a connection to the universe somehow. You just don't realize it. The universe has so many layers. It's a little sickening sometimes, but you know, um, and that's another goal I think I want to touch on is that I also want to be able to I feel like for a while my life has been consumed by the supernatural, and not just even in my human life where I have to like pay bills and live and things like that, but I also want to when I play video games, even though it is cool that you can connect it to supernatural stuff, I also just want to be like, I am playing video games for me. Like sometimes I'll talk to HG. I mentioned him earlier. He's a good friend of mine, and he's into the supernatural as well. And sometimes I'll mention, oh, this is he's like, okay, Carol, like just play your video games. We're gonna come and take your video games away, right? He's like, this is your resting time. You don't always have to make it into something it's not. Put it in your back pocket, and if it does come up in a supernatural thing, you'll remember it because you're supposed to remember it, right? So that's another goal of mine. Balance, and trying to creep up in happiness world. So um, that's my goals. I was gonna make some more updates about like supernatural things that have been happening because there have been, but I think I'm gonna save that for the next video where I do a huge summation and then add in the new stuff towards the end of that video. So that'll be coming within a week. But other than that, I hope everyone has a really good, restful week. I know this week is kind of confusing. People are like, what year is it? What day is this? In fact, I think I said 2023 when I meant 2025 earlier. It's just this timelines don't exist. All right. I'm going to go, but thank you for listening. And like I said, I hope everyone's doing well. Take care of yourself. And when I say choose you, really choose you, right? Like, that doesn't mean give yourself a bubble bath, right? Anyway, other than that, I hope everyone's doing well. Thank you for listening. And as always, stay curious and stay tuned into the supernatural. Thanks for watching.